So this does not belong here
Okay.
No.
because
So let me take that and.
It goes in
about
back.
it home with some other.
this is that this piece in here is actually
Like a flip mirror?
it's a flip mirror, yeah. This is-
Good jamming credits.
Does this even go to this rig?
I don't think
It
so.
can, yeah, it comes off, it goes to the back.
Well, you need an adapter.
Yeah, you need the depth.
You need an adapter for the back if you're gonna put it in here. But not that you, but it already has a diagonal, so this adapter in the back is if you wanna put like a camera. Because you see, there's a mirror in there.
Hi, Craig.
You can leave the mirror to use it as a diagonal, and you can put it down to use it as straight for the camera. Or you can put an adapter.
You never steered me wrong.
Things on it.
No.
Cause I remember buying an adapter
Never
for
learned
the
to
ones I
talk.
used to have.
It's a good camera to learn.
Well, it'd be great.
It was a great camera. I used it
Right.
all through high school, linear, but.
Yeah.
You bet. It was an awesome camera, and then I got into Canons. And then you sold me
See,
an A1 at one time
Yeah.
and an F1 at one time. And then after that, and when I
So
was
it
digital,
is-
I got into buying digital cameras, but stuck with Canons after that.
I'm not a Canon person.
It's not a.
Yeah, I think you tried steering me away from them too.
Because they've got a scan hand controller, which is Orion,
But.
by Orion hand controller.
Well, they all pretty much work.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he didn't have any Orion mounts or
this is
stuff.
what I'm looking at, this is manual. I don't think
I
it
mean, I
has.
started out
I don't
with.
think it has I don't think
With
it's,
a concept.
I don't think it's allowed. It's like,
So,
Well, it has to be. How do you
I
turn it?
started with a camera.
well, you use the screws, I think. This,
We went to Olympus.
move it,
Yeah,
No, Olympus.
yeah, right, Hank,
And
yeah.
then I
because I don't see where you will plug it,
went to Nikon.
I don't see the plug.
I've got a Nikon
Let's see,
here.
switch.
Yeah, I could get time.
And what's the power?
Trying to give me the other Nikon pad, if you want to start like.
Oh, there it is.
I was never an AE1 fan at all.
I had
We
problems
can
back
take it
there.
off and try to find.
Well,
Well,
they made multiple models,
And had a plastic.
Yeah, how would you plug it
Yeah.
in?
And I like
I
metal.
don't see the
Yeah.
plug for the.
And it didn't have the pure manual.
It has a
What is that?
It's powerful.
Right, yeah, it didn't-
Power.
It shuts down.
Yeah,
So there's a little outlet
And-
switch right here.
I didn't like that. And,
Maybe that's with the clock
drive.
drive. Maybe it's the manual and it's with the clock drive.
Canon really had good technicians and.
I think so, and this just reverses north or south, so if you're above the equator, I think that's what that is.
They kind of jumped ahead of Nikon. Nikon.
I don't think it has anything.
They've been behind.
Yep.
I
you're
don't know
right,
what,
I think
what
it's
they're
a-
doing in
Yeah.
there.
Might have looked.
It says.
yeah, I haven't made that leap, I'd start doing this instead.
Yeah.
Well, you either have to buy an adapter, which I guess works, or you gotta get rid of all your stuff.
Yeah.
It fits.
Right. Yeah, we have some people in common too, I don't know if you
Yeah,
consider
it's-
friends.
yeah,
yet,
it's a
but
manual
I
one.
know Ray Congrove,
Okay.
I know Matt
But-
Lance,
Still, but I.
a couple people I know probably.
But,
It's been a long time now.
Yeah, maybe it just runs on batteries, you pick. it up.
well, the one that I used to have runs on battery. And it, but it.
Yeah,
doesn't have
that's, I
PTX.
quit buying stuff there because
Yeah, I
So what
mean,
are these? Are these like?
the
clutches?
company motto was, where else can you buy a camera?
I think
and
there's a
go
bunch
to
in
hell all
here.
at the same time?
yeah, basically that's what I got.
Yeah. I mean, one night I was
The
looking
clutch.
over at the,
Rusty.
store.
I've never seen a manual. one.
And
Dr. Mitchell?
30, when I was getting ready to lock the door, I got a
This
phone.
thing,
He says, I want you to come over to the other store.
which volume I got?
And somebody in the afternoon,
Put it
at
there.
the store, stole a video camera. He just
That
went
one
on the-
goes up and down.
Because you were at the other store.
Yeah.
And then this one.
So I gave my 2 weeks notice.
Oh, this is a Cecil.
And I sold the last three for.
Once you align it, I think you can
Christmas
lock
was,
it.
yeah.
Then-
You either did it for Christmas.
And then we'll try it.
Yeah,
And the last Christmas I was there, he
Oh.
sold $35,000
I see. So-
cameras on his
I think
own.
that's for locking.
And we're not talking big stuff, we're talking $100.
yeah, right. Yeah, little digital.
Yeah.
Shoots and
I
yeah.
sold 50,000
Yeah,
and I earned
So that might be
$1,000
Mike.
in spits.
Oh,
Oh,
I mean,
but this doesn't go with it, right?
Hello?
I was good, I was good at summer camp,
Okay,
and,
I gotta go.
so basically.
So you're leaving?
Yeah.
You go back
Rolando,
home?
Dan, Rolando.
Oh, we've met.
Oh, of course, probably Pat.
Heck, yeah.
Okay, I gotta go. I'll try to get back here before.
Okay. You take care. If we're not gonna have the projector this time, then let me do something a little bit different.
Well, I think there was something. I think there was something damaged on on the altitude. I don't know. Maybe not. No,
It doesn't matter.
no.
See everybody.
It's work.
I mean, do we have a program?
We do, yeah, we do, yes.
Okay. Then we should all go home and get on the internet so we can see it.
Ah,
Yeah, some technical difficulties.
If
Uh,
semi-fixed.
yeah.
So whose month is this?
This is my setup here.
Oh. Okay. This is the new ZWO with no counterweight.
Right, right. You can add one, but.
I mean, you can have.
Yeah,
one.
right. I don't need it to, mine's light enough. Yeah.
What is it?
Quint.
Quite quaint. Okay. I guess we're
Oh,
as ready as we'll ever be.
no, I'm okay.
Come on, Mabel.
No, head of the table.
All right, so first I need to make a note of who's here. So,
Hello?
hello.
Not hearing anything here.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
On.
Good. So our secretary's absent, so I need to just real quick write down who's here.
Hello?
Hello?
Yep, I'm hearing you now.
Okay. So
Got the TV hooked up.
good. And Mike and Steve, sorry, Steve who?
Me, Steve.
Steve V, got it. All right. Okay, so thank you for joining us. All right, so well, let's get right down to it. First item on the agenda, past events. Well, we suddenly had a run of good luck. Our most recent public nights on May 20th and June 17th, they both went ahead as planned. The May 20th one, the skies were just about perfect out of the observatory that night. Perfectly clear, calm, and we had dozens of visitors show up. Jeff was out there, and several other club members. They set up telescopes outside, and unfortunately, I wasn't in much of a position to make it an exact head count because I was in the dome the whole time running the 14-inch, which is the same thing that happened on this past Saturday's public event. At that time, it was just me and Kim Chong who showed up from the club, and he didn't bother to bring a telescope because it looked like the skies are going to be pretty hazy from all the wildfire smoke, so we weren't sure if anything too much would be visible. But as it turns out, we did see quite a few things, and I'm pretty sure we had like about 3 dozen visitors come out that night. Yep. Very successful night, despite that clouds moved in for a little while, but then they cleared out like about 10:30 or so. So all in all, a couple of successful nights. Any questions or comments about those nights?
Well, I have a question, Robert. It's great that we had sounds like a much better than normal turnout. Did you get any comments from the people that give you some insight on what's causing more people to come?
I remember this past night, a number of people saw it on the internet, on our Facebook pages.
So I seen on last Thursday that KWQC had a scroll along the bottom of their 5 o'clock news. And
One of our Saturday visitors did mention they saw it on TV, yes.
yeah, and also on the news part of their internet site, it listed all the public nights for the next 2 or 3 months, and it was like twice a month, probably between Minky and QCAS dates. So I don't know who called that in, but that's a plus. I don't know who or how they got a hold of it, but it was definitely on the internet and on the TV. And Marshall Lenz and Eric Maitland, they had it on the noon news. They were talking about it.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. I saw that myself.
So I don't know who gave us the publicity or who called it in, but that was great. And also for our grantors that grant us money, that they know that we do exist if some of them seen it.
Whoever did call it in, they deserve a round of applause.
Right. So that might be one reason why you had 3 dozen people out there, which is good.
All right. Well, I do have one downside. The dome motor, the motor in the dome is obviously on its last legs. I mean, I almost constantly had to get one of the visitors to help me push the dome around in different directions. We have got to do something about that.
Okay, perhaps Jim Hansen, I think it is, your maintenance guy from St. Ambrose.
Jim
He
Hannon.
fixed it the last time, and it might just be a matter of an adjustment to make the motor tighter, the drive wheel on the outside dome wall, or however it
wouldn't be
operates.
the first time, yes. Yeah.
So I would get a hold of Jim, because I think he could help you on that, unless the motor is going out. But that's what usually happens. It loosens up and then it slips.
I'll make a note of that.
So was it slipping or was it stolen, the motor?
Slipping. It just would not get any traction on the dome.
There's a rubber wheel that matches up on the track, and that's what turns it. And when that tension comes off, there's a slip joint there that's bolted, I believe, and it just probably needs to be pushed out and tightened up.
Mm-hmm.
Jim will know all about it.
I'll get on that. Okay. Any other comments? So then we have another scheduled star party this coming Saturday. And then we got 2 more in July, on July 15th and July 22nd. And then there is our meteor shower party on August 12th. I would ask Jeff if we're still a go for doing that at Pleasant Valley Junior High. He's not here right now, so I'll have to email him to confirm.
Was he going back home? Do you know?
Yeah, he had to go back home for.
So he might call in later. I don't know.
Actually, I think he said he'd come back toward the end of the meeting, maybe.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see.
There was a comment on your Facebook page about having it on a Friday night, that
Someone was asking, who
they had to get up early on Sundays and they wouldn't be able to.
that was Dana Taylor, I
There
think.
you go.
Yes.
That have any traction, or is that just something that's ever been looked at?
Did anyone notice the
Public nights.
public nights?
Oh,
Did anyone notice the comment, and does anyone have any comments on it?
Take that as a no.
I didn't see the comment, but
Yeah, I was basically just asking about Friday nights. That'd be a possibility.
He was asking about it because he said he has to get up early on Sundays. Well, on occasion, club members would go out to Menke on their own or in smaller groups, not on scheduled nights. I mean, there's.
There you go, that's something he could do if he wants to set up a.
Hmm.
Go Friday night to go out, just send out an email to the.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an option. Let's see. Eastern Iowa Star Party, September 15th through 17th. That's Friday to a Sunday. As far as I know, nothing's changed about that. We're not gonna charge admission fee, and I'm not gonna do anything fancy, just amateurs of the region unite for a weekend, set up scopes, and they bring some munchies and some drinks.
Hey, Robert,
Yes,
do you want me to put the Eastern Iowa Star Party out on the schedule of events on the North Central region of the Astronomical League?
the North Central region. Well, we don't usually, well, of course, we don't build as a public event, but the North Central region amateurs.
Right.
I don't see why not.
Yeah,
But the only issue with that is we gotta register the people that want to come, and we have a limitation on the number of people that can come because of the number of spaces. So if you publish it to everybody and 100 people show up, all of them wanted a space, there would be no location for them.
I think usually we've been limited to what, 50 spaces?
50 spaces, but now that the roll-off took some of those spaces, I don't know if we still have 50 or not.
Something else we'd have to ask Jeff. He's usually the one who organizes it.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends if we wanna open it to more than 50, right? It used to be 50. I don't know, huh?
You'd have to say register, first come, first serve.
Right,
We have a limit of 50 spaces.
right. That's it.
if you open it up to the
Also,
region,
Also, if they
they're
could power or not, right?
Mm.
Not all the pads are gonna have power. So they could bring their own power supplies if they want to, or they can run extension ports. But I don't know.
why don't you talk about it? If you want to do it, I can put there, there's other star parties like the Iowa Star Party, Northwoods 2023, Illinois Dark Sky Star Party 2023. Eastern Iowa Star Party could be among that group if you want, but I don't know how many people would come. There could be a few. people from outside the region. I know Eric Clays from Naperville has come to Eastern Iowa Star Party a few times in the past. Cedar Amateurs, I know, has had some people that come out. There could be a few more than that. Talk it over. You know, if you guys want to do it, let me know. I can put it out there.
We'll discuss it for like a little bit and then we can get back to you.
Okay, that sounds good.
Sounds
Yeah, I
good.
think it would be a good idea to do that. And, you know, if we just put in there that we'd like the people to register. I don't think we've ever had more than 50 people attend the Eastern Iowa Star Party, so I think the danger is probably slight that
Yeah,
they have too many come. I kind of welcome the opportunity or whatever.
maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised, huh?
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised the last couple of public nights. Okay. And then brought the partial solar eclipse on October 14th. Has anyone else is anyone Jeff is going to set up some solar scopes at a coffee shop that he frequents. Is anyone else thinking about setting up scopes elsewhere around the Quad Cities?
Any word about, St. Ambrose?
I sent an email to student activities asking about it. I haven't heard back from them though. I'm thinking I might have to go and meet with them in person.
You say October 14th?
October 14th, yeah.
Man, it lands on a Saturday? That's pretty convenient.
Yes. Well, as far as St. Ambrose was concerned, the last time I asked about it, it also falls on the 3-day weekend that forms part of the mid-semester break, and administration thinks that hardly any students will be on campus that time, so they didn't see any need to spend any money on it.
Well, they don't have to spend any money.
They do if they want solar glasses to hand around. But I did, fortunately, there was a little bit of money left in the department budget, so we're gonna purchase a couple hundred. And well, I mean, if I never hear anything about it from St. Ambrose, I'll start looking around for other possible places.
Really have to look at a park someplace. You know, Bettendorf Veterans Park would probably be good. Because there's typically people around. And I don't think the trees are high enough to cause a problem at that time of day.
Bettendorf Veterans Park, how does that sound to anyone?
Oh, that one there? Oh, like you said, the trees aren't, I mean, it's gonna be what, at 12 o'clock, I don't know what time.
10 o'clock?
10:30 to 1:30 is
So
when
it'd be okay.
Jeff's gonna
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, first off, we thought about, I live next door to a church and they've got a big yard. But they've got trees where at 10:30, I don't know if the sun will be over the trees. At Veterans Park, I mean, it's a big park and it's on 18th Street. And there are typically parks around that you can get into.
I might still have to say it's sponsored by St. Ambrose to justify the.
Who cares? I don't care.
The department might care that they're spending $200 in solar classes for something that has nothing to do with the school.
Well, I'm sure there are probably St. Ambrose students that live in Bettendorf.
Just take it out of your paycheck, it's probably nothing. It's a wash, it's like a meal for you.
Tax write-off.
Well, if you choose a location, isn't there a way to just publicize it on campus?
Yes.
Before the event, and that way you could write the expense off.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if it has to have anything to do with St. Ambrose or not, but. You know, anybody else that lives in Bettendorf or close, that's a, you know, that'd be a good place to show up. Don't have, you know, you don't have to sponsor it.
I'll look into it. Well, let me worry about that. All right. Okay. Oh, and also in terms of upcoming events. So Jeff has been working on a proposed calendar for 2020 of events for 2024. And let's see, Jim, you had a question about when Eastern Iowa was going to be scheduled in 2024.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that there are some other large star parties that some people like to attend that conflict with that date. So it's just a matter of whether we could accommodate both dates. It kind of depends on how many other people might want to attend some of those other star parties.
Well, it's definitely the choice. I mean, we always have to deal with the moon. It's a big problem.
Yes.
Just everybody else will. But it's like, hey.
Yeah, everybody wants to use the new moon weekend, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's like. I don't care if there's a sliver. And if the roll off ever gets fixed, so I can use my 30, I don't want a full moon. It's a waste of time with that telescope and a full moon. So we can, look at it from halfway accommodations. But I don't think we can please everybody.
Never can.
No.
Those board members who are on right now, would you do you think we can show the proposed calendar to the general attendance? Should we show the proposed 2024 calendar to the general attendance right now?
It's okay with me to do so.
I mean, it's only proposed. It's not written in stone yet.
Not yet, no.
So.
If anybody had any conflicting dates, then they could see it on the calendar and bring it up.
Let's see.
Right. Hang on, let me share the screen.
January, March, April, and May. Those are irrelevant because of clouds.
Yeah. Well, one difference from 2023 I don't want to point out is that we're no longer going to do 2 fully scheduled star parties in the months from May to September. We're just going to have 1 in each of those months with a pre-chosen rain delay date. As you kind of see, you can already see here with July and August and September.
No.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, let's see, as Cecil pointed out, January, February, and March are kind of spoken for. Well, here you can see the proposed date for the Meteor Marathon in March. That's on March 9th. And okay, here we go. So, and
I mean, we used to have the Eastern Iowa Star Party almost in like October. And sometimes we're good and sometimes we got snow.
yeah. Well, this time we're gonna have got it in the end of September.
So do we know what's what the moon's like during that time period, a week before or a week after?
I kind of went over this myself earlier, and I mean, at most, any of these nights would be like a half moon. And I think like yes, I'm guessing if I remember correctly, the September 7th public night there is like a crescent to a half moon out. That's why I had to go forward 2 weeks in order to find a decent rain delay date. But yes, so the point is we're only advertising one public night per month from May to September, and we won't even publicize the rain delay nights unless they're necessary. So how does that sound?
Why going from 2 to 1?
Well, because we're pretty much fully merging QCAS and St. Ambrose activities now, so there's no need to do separate ones anymore.
So, and your point is, doesn't answer the question. How come we're still only gonna do?
The
one?
point is, we're getting old and we're not up to doing 2 per month anymore. Does anyone have any comments on the proposed calendar?
Well, on the Eastern Iowa Star Party for September/October of 2024. I had suggested to Jeff that we at least consider doing it on October 4th through the 6th. That would be a sliver of a moon that moves into just getting barely into the few days after the new moon.
We'd have to move that public night then, but move that up a couple of weeks, and that would avoid the moon. That's
And it,
3 weeks.
Somewhat selfish on my part, because September 28th through the 30th is probably the ideal time, the darkest time, but that's also when the Okie Tech is, and I will plan to go to Okie Tech. So I probably wouldn't make it to Eastern Iowa Star Party. So it's just, if no one else has a conflict, we can leave it on the 28th or the 30th. I just wanted to bring it up.
Comments? Agree or disagree?
So what's that date? That's say 23rd.
Eastern Iowa,
Yeah,
28th.
28th. We have a waxing gibbous full harvest moon on the 29th.
Of 2024.
It's 2023. I'm looking at this year.
This is 2024.
I know, but I'm looking at 2023. So,
Why?
because it's this year. That's why I'm asking this. We're at 22nd, 23rd this year. Okay.
Okay.
So we have
No. We're this year. We're 15 through 17.
Okay. Waxing crescent, waxing crescent, waxing crescent. Okay. So we're almost at a new moon. We're basically at a new moon. Okay.
For this year, it's a very just thin crescent. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. And now, thanks to you, Harvest Moon is running through my head nonstop.
You have an earworm. So next year, you're saying next year is the 29th, not the 29th.
28th, 29th, and 30th.
Okay.
While we're waiting for this, has anyone bought any new gear recently? It can happen. No new gear. Does anyone have any gear for sale? Going once. Going twice. Going twice and a half. Then, unless anyone else has anything, I will now turn the meeting over to our presenter, Dan Cusack, who will be talking about his interest in astronomy and some equipment that he's doing. So,
up here.
yeah, tell you what, I'll do that.
That work? Can everybody kind of cut my head off? How's that? How's that, everybody online?
Good.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Jeff asked me at the last meeting to give a presentation tonight on my astrophotography equipment and some goals and that I had by joining the club. A few of you have met and others I've not. My name is Dan Cusack. I am a lifelong resident of the Quad Cities, and I've been married to my wife, Colleen, for 31 years. We have 4 adult children, Courtney, Sydney, Shannon, and Morgan, and we are blessed with 8 grandchildren with a 9th one on the way. I've been working in the technology field for the past 30 years, and I'm presently the Vice President Information Systems Officer for Bank of Oregon. I became interested in photography and astronomy at a young age, probably 10 or 11, when a neighbor showed me a view of the sun using what I believe was a small celestron scope. I remember it being orange anyway. He had a 35 millimeter camera attached and was doing some imaging of the sun. I've been hooked on photography and astronomy ever since. As I grew up, I followed the photography hobby more so than the astronomy, but had never forgotten about it and always continued looking up. Fast forward to the early 90s and I purchased my first scope. It was a Meade 90 ETX. My children were at the age where I could introduce them to the stars and planets, so I fulfilled the requirements. So it fulfilled the requirements and the budget at the time. We used the scope as a family on and off over the years for observing, and I still use it today with my grandkids. Finally, around 2020, I made the decision to purchase a scope and get into the astrophotography hobby. I wasn't sure where to start, so I went online and I believe I found the link on Facebook for an upcoming Zoom meeting for this club. It was the start of the pandemic, and I believe it was one of the very first Zoom meetings the club had. I got on the call that night of the meeting and received a lot of advice on what to think about when it came to purchasing equipment. And I must say, I was impressed at the fact that all of you on the call took so much time out of your meeting to answer all my questions and give me advice, seeing that I wasn't even a member of the club at the time. And I want to thank you all for that. So I present to you my current rig based on the interpretation of the advice I received from the group that night and some additional research and what was in the budget at the time. So starting at the top there, the telescope is an ASCAR FRA 500. It's made by Sharp Star Optics, and it is a 90 millimeter f/5.6 with a focal length of 500 millimeter. It is a Petzval design with a quintuplet lens design. The guide scope is 32 millimeter f4 with a focal length of 128 millimeters with a doublet lens design. Along the way, I made the decision to buy into the ZWO ecosystem, and I'm running the ASI Air Plus, which is hidden behind here, which controls almost all the systems that are on the scope. I'm using the AM5 harmonic drive mount, which I added a larger ADM saddle to, and I have electronic focuser as well. I have two cameras that I switch between, the 2600 mono with a 7-position filter wheel running the Optilong 2 filter set, and the other is the 183 color with the 2-inch filter drawer, which is on the scope tonight. The dew heater system is the Pegasus Dew Master, and with the temperature sensor, and it controls the AstroZap dew heaters. Lastly is the flat panel up here for doing calibration frames. It is manufactured by a company called Deep Sky Dad, located in Central Europe. For the tripod, I'm running the Supermount CYG 54G carbon fiber with adjustable pier. And then it has the 310 millimeter extension on it as well. The tripod's manufactured in South Korea. For power, I'm running the Jackery Explorer 500. Then I control everything with a 9th generation Apple iPad. So in closing, I would just like to add that some of the goals for belonging to the club are to meet and interact with like-minded people, like everyone here tonight, better educate myself in astronomy and astrophotography, as well as educate others in the hobby, and enhance my skills in the use of the ASI software and processing software with the goal of being able to present images at the club meeting at some point. So thanks for having me tonight. Does anybody have any questions? Anyone online? Questions of any kind, or?
How much astrophotography have you actually done?
I just started doing some this year, so I'm still getting used to it. Novice.
Yeah.
Ranking I'd give myself. I'm able to find objects and do some imaging on them. I'd say probably the thing I lack in is mainly time on any of the objects I have. So
Yeah.
I just need to get a good night where I can spend some time on objects. Anybody else?
So I'm curious about what do you call the flat panel?
Yeah, the flat panel, so it covers the lens, so you can do your darks and your bias and flat, and then it's got a built-in LED on it, which is kind of hard to see. See if I stop in here. It has built-in LED on it for doing flats. Which with the 183, it's got some amp glow issues, so you really need to do calibration frames to get that out of it.
That's pretty cool. I've never seen that before.
Where do you tend to set up to take pictures or to do visual observing?
Well, I've been mainly doing stuff around my house, but I've gone to a few pack nights, been out with those guys and done some stuff there as well. I was out at Nabi last weekend, but it wasn't a very good night, so that's kind of the luck I've been having. But I'd say, the software and the scope, I started taking pictures in April, and I think I pretty well got that all figured out now. But the big thing is for like I said, time on an object, and then figuring out the processing software is now kind of where I'm focused.
So if you were to get a bigger diameter, I guess those flaps come in different diameters, right?
Yeah, you can get a different size.
Okay.
Yeah. And just kind of got a pinch bolt on there, but it just pinches on the dew shield.
It seems like that mount has, been very popular for ZWO. I don't know if you had a chance to use it enough to say that you like it.
Yeah, I've been using it for, a few months now. I like it. I like the whole harmonic drive premise, I think. Like I was telling Jeff earlier that at some point I want to get a bigger scope and, I don't know, this has a 44 pound rating on it. So I don't know if I'd get a different one, if I got something larger or not yet, but for this scope only weighs, with everything on it, weighs 20.5 pounds, so it doesn't have any issues of slewing or anything with it. I had a different tripod that they come with, and I ended up buying this other one just because I was a little uncomfortable with it, because it was pretty minimal size tripod, so I wouldn't recommend if anybody was looking at buying the package to get that, because I'm not a big fan of the tripod it came with. I mean, it's a nice carbon fiber tripod for, probably smaller scope, 50, 60, whatever, something like that, but you get bigger, I don't think I'd use it on there.
Well, for astrophotography, bigger's not always better. Just
As
bear
far
that in
as
mind. What's that?
as far as scope size, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
always.
I'd like to do some planetary stuff, and today I still have that little Me 90 ETX that I use with the grandkids, and you could kind of make out Saturn's rings and see the moon a little bit, and Jupiter's spot maybe a little, but I'd like to get something a little bigger to kind of give them a more realistic view of it, other than just pictures online, something, because I don't know about the rest of you guys, but there's nothing like seeing it for the first time, so.
Right through that stone.
Hey, Dan, I was pretty impressed. I think the last time, not this last weekend, obviously the weather wasn't real good because of the smoke at Niabi, but I think it was the previous one you were out there with your system. And I was pretty impressed with some of the images you had there on your iPad. You could walk around and show live views of what you had on the scope, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the ASI, the software in there. It's got a live stack mode, which is really cool, because it brings out the color and the image and that. And, I've been playing with that a lot more recently. I think it works great for public night events for sure.
Mention a 90mm GTX. Is that what this is?
The ETX, yeah, the one that plugs it down, yeah. And I have one, that one I think's newer than mine. I got mine in the early 90s when they first came out, and
I'm thinking that's older.
yeah, I don't recall mine. It could be mine doesn't have the switches on the bottom, and mine has the lever lock in the middle on it instead of these two knobs here. So I don't know which ones are redesigned
So
really.
yours is manual?
No, it has a hand controller.
Yeah, that one doesn't even have an hand control.
Oh, doesn't it?
No, that one is the original.
It looks like a Quest Star.
Oh,
It
yeah.
looks like they designed it like a Quest Star.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah, it doesn't even have a hand controller.
Doesn't have-
You're right. Yeah, that one's older. Yeah.
yeah, it's that one was the first design when they released it with no.
No hand controller or anything on it, right?
If you're looking for something bigger, you're just gonna look through it, get yourself an 8-inch dial for the grandkids.
Yeah.
That'll get them, get some good views
I mean, yeah, for visual.
for visual.
How about a 30-inch?
If you're doing planetary for visual, the best choice is a Maxitoff.
What's that?
The best choice for planetary viewing visual is a Maxitoff.
Maxitoff? Yeah.
I mean, that's where you get your bang for your buck. I mean, that's pretty close to a refractor view with a like a similar Cassegrain style telescope. The secondary mirror obstruction is minimal, and they rarely ever need collimating. The Maxitoff design has got the curvature on the front lens, which is it's like a combination between a reflector and a refractor. Skywatcher makes that 180 SkyMax. I have that. and that thing's as sharp as a tack for planetary. It's
Yeah,
that's
it's gonna be a while. I'm still trying to learn what I got.
right, but it's a fraction of a cost of a refractor in its own class, and it'll pretty much perform just like. I've got it's a 7.1, and it'll perform just as good as a 6-inch refractor.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have a look.
And yeah, it's cheaper, way cheaper.
Hey, Dan,
Yes, sir.
we have a 7-inch Maxitop you can borrow if you want to take it for a test drive.
Okay, thanks. Well, anybody have anything else, or you want to see anything else on the setup I got?
Does that usually have a counterweight on it?
No, it doesn't need one unless you run it up over 29 pounds.
Okay.
And then it just takes, I think the book says, if I recall, it's just a 12-pound weight is max on it, just for balance.
What is the weight limit on the mount?
It's 44 pounds is what they say. I've seen some guys on the internet run some big scopes off of it and say they don't have any problems, but I don't know if that was be something I'd try or not, but
Yeah, that seems like a lot. You get some wind. I don't know. That would be impressive if that mount didn't shake with 40 pounds on it.
yeah, I don't know how good that'd be on the drive and the everything in it either, to go over the specs, but like I said, I'm still concentrating on what I got, and
Sure.
we'll worry about some of that stuff later on down the road.
It's a very nice setup.
Thanks.
I think the advantage of the mount that he has, I think it's 16 pounds weight. That's all. That's light.
What's that?
That the weight on that mount is only, I think, 16 pounds.
Yeah, it's not very much. It could have been 16. I said 12. I really don't recall because I haven't had a need for it. But I can remember it was if you got up to 29 pounds with the scope that you were supposed to run the weight with it.
And the other thing I would say, the problem with this type of mount would be you could use it for your camera, but you cannot use it for manually viewing because you need the camera to line.
I don't know if I'd be afraid to use it for manual or not. I mean, in the actual software, it's just like a regular go-to mount. You could there's a database in there and you can pick the object you want, and then it'll slew to that, and then you can track and visually observe, I would think.
Yeah, I would think it would do the same no matter what you're using the camera or the lens.
Yeah, I think the big deal really is just it runs off an application and you don't have to balance it. I mean, there's just some general differences between that and a gear driven mount or a belt driven mount. I'm real impressed with it, and that's just me, of course. But I think if I got to the point where I had to buy another mount, that I would buy. There's a lot of manufacturers that are going that route, and there's a few I've looked at that are obviously a lot more money than this one was, but I'd probably buy another harmonic mount unless something happens in a year or two with it, that it dies or whatever. So that wouldn't make me unimpressed with it.
So right now you can only run it with the app that company sells.
Well, yeah, the app doesn't cost anything. It does come with a hand controller, but I would say the weak point with it is the hand controller because it's just like a joystick. The hand controller has Wi-Fi, so you could run it off a phone, run the app on your phone and control it with that. There's a built-in object database and stuff within the mount as well. You don't need the ASI Air to run the mount. It has database and stuff within the mount that could control it. I'm not an expert on any of it, especially that part of it, because I bypassed that right away by using the actual controller with it.
So right now, when you're running is an app that runs,
Yeah, it's just,
I mean, it runs the little ASI.
yeah, there's just an app for it.
Mhm.
Is the app only for Apple and Mac, or do they have a version for Windows?
You can run it off computer too. You can get, they have a software version of it. I don't know. Can you guys see that? I don't know if you, probably not very well, but that's.
Yep, I can see it.
Maybe if I turn
That's-
the lights off.
That's what the interface looks like for it. I don't know. I think that made it worse, actually, Robert, with the window glare. So, and
If we turn it away from the Windows.
yeah,
About that.
how about that?
Yeah, that's what I use.
Yeah, yeah, and I did, you know, the over here, you can control the mount manually, and up here, there's a go-to function. And then across the top are the different systems that controls the, you know, the drive and the camera and everything else. I'll show you guys this in a minute. I was just trying to show everybody online. But it's a pretty intuitive app. I'm not gonna say it was easy for me to learn, and I wouldn't say that I know everything there is to know about the app, but I feel like I'm pretty proficient in this part of it anyway right now.
So that app works with the ASI.
Yeah, so this
It doesn't work with it doesn't work with the mouse.
It would work with the mount. There's an app. There is another app for the mount.
No, I mean, so if I were to buy just the mount.
Right.
No ASI.
No,
No ASI.
You'd use this ASI mount app. You'd use that app.
Oh, because it's the same company, of course.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Oh, so the advantage here is because the little computer is an ASI, it knows how to control the mount.
Yeah, that's it. From what I understand, that's one thing. You know, it'll do other mounts as well. It'll control other mounts, but sometimes there can be issues around that. I mean, that's kind of why I bought into the whole system, is because obviously it's their ecosystem, so it all works well together. There's some issues around. I don't even know if it'll run in like a QHY camera or whatever. I don't even know if it'll run other manufacturers' cameras, to be honest with you. So, I belong to a few of the user groups and that kind of thing.
But I thought they had two versions of that ASI, one that only works with their own stuff, and then they have another one that works with other stuff that is more generic, but I don't know.
No, this one I go in here and I can change the mount type to any go-to mount, basically. I mean, they have some generic settings in there.
Right, they probably use the standard Mead LX 200.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it looks state of the art and it's styling with that red all over it and on your iPad. You got everything matching there.
Oh, that way I know if it walks away, I know where it's at.
Dan, I think you're doing a good job.
Thanks, Al. I appreciate it. Getting there. It's a learning curve. You know, there's nights that I'm frustrated a lot, but I don't mind it. And that's, considering when I went out to the observatory with you in April, I'm a lot further than I was, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I'm impressed.
well, if nothing else, I'll turn the meeting back over to Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good job.
Thank you, Dan.
Welcome.
All right. Oh. Well, keeping with the theme of astrophotography, do any club members have any new astrophotos to share? If you do, just a second here. There. If you do, you'll be able to share your screen now. Or even if you don't.
I think Craig posted the one that he has as a background behind him, which I've always thought that was a very cool field of view, and that's a super photo he's taken. I haven't ever tried to take a picture of that. Well, no, I've tried, but I haven't turned out very good.
Well, the one behind me was done in Bootlegger's Star Party for 2 nights. It was done with my 61 Raptor EQ6R Pro mount. It is my second try at a 2-panel mosaic. The color turned out really good for a Optilon Pro, which is not a mono. It's a one-shot color. But I stuck with this object for 2 nights straight. And like you guys, the 20th was clear, very clear. So it came to each panel getting roughly 6 hours of 5-minute shots each. And yeah, last night I was out to do the second test run with a mono for the first time, which triples the pain in the butt on the veil. And I haven't processed that yet, but I will get it out. One thing I liked about this particular, I call it Rho Fici B, which is a nebula, but they show all 3 nebulas: the dark nebula, the reflective nebula, and emitting nebula. And you can tell by the color, obviously, the dark nebula is black, gray. The reflective is blue and green blue, and the emitting is red and gold, yellow. And it's got M4 at the bottom, which is right about here, which is a cluster all in one. I was very happy with it. Very, very happy with it. How do you load the pictures from my file to show them on the screen? I've never been shown how to do that. I have a reason why. It's because the other one that I processed, I didn't take. It's the Liberty Nebula. It's in the southern hemisphere. And through the years, I've always wanted to process that. And there's a guy came up, he says, you know, if you just go to a place called Matt Dietrich, and he has a 24-inch plane wave, and he took these shots for the Liberty Nebula in Chile. The guy's main job is setting up plane waves, which I didn't know until I got online and realized that what he did. And yeah, very, very sharp. I would like to show it to you, but I have no idea how to do that. Does anybody else know how to do that?
You should be able to just bring it up on your computer and then share your screen.
Well, how do you share the screen first?
So at the bottom of, down at the bottom of what we're viewing from Dr. Mitchell right now in green, it says share screen. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes.
If you just hover down there. So if you bring whatever photo you'd want up, as Dr. Mitchell said, onto your desktop and then click that button. I don't know if Dr. Mitchell has to release it or.
Now, how do you get back out?
I've already released it.
I'm going to show the one chapter that I have that I was just talking about. And
got it.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it. Rho Fici, it's very low on the southern, it's barely over the trees on those 2 days I was there. I can't get it anywhere around here. It's not enough horizon. I'd have to go to Green River or to Mankey to get this shot. Now, how do you get it? Oh, go back to share again. take that out, go back to share, and the one I'm talking about. Whoop, nope, nope. One more. Photos. Yeah, I see it now. It's easy once you do it. And the one I took, I got the picture and processed it, and it was made with a mono camera. And it came with the light subs, darks, dark flats. And through the processing, this is what I got out of it. It's I was always impressed by this nebula. Again, it was made by a 24-inch plane wave using a L600 mount in Chile. And the camera is an FLI Proline CCD, which has obviously your red, blue, green luminance, RA, HA, O3, and S2. And I think you used them all. But they came in a file of red, green, and blue. So
You said this was the Liberty Nebula?
yes. You can see the hand raised up in the head. If you look in the center, you can see the Statue of Liberty pose in the middle of that nebulosity. It's in black, surrounded by gold and blue.
NGC 3576.
You can't get it around here. You have to be in the southern hemisphere to get it.
Yes, it mentions it somewhere around the Eta Carina Nebula.
Yep. Yep. No, those are the only two I have done. I'm really impressed with the one-shot color, roughly 6 hours per panel, and hitching them together using Astro Pixel processor and finishing off in PixInsight. So
very impressive.
So Craig, was that your 2600 MC? Is that the one-shot camera?
yeah, the 2600 MC is my go-to camera, or MM. I have one of each. I do have my 533. Love the camera, but as far as your detail and grayscale contrast, it's not as sharp. I mean, it's a great camera to start with. I mean, I recommend it for pretty much anybody who's starting out. But
okay, thank you. Is this Byron's photo?
Yeah, I was playing with the Maxitop and stacking out at Menke that last trip, and I was just doing simple stuff. I did this the simple one. The other harder one's Cat's Eye, and this was 30 snaps at I'm thinking I had it at 800 ISO, or maybe this was 1250. I think the Cat's Eye had it 800. But yeah, just to see what the Mac would do stacking. That, of course, is M57. Do you have the Cat's Eye there you can switch to?
who's that?
Oh, here it is.
There you go.
So there's the Cat's Eye, which that one's difficult.
Yeah, very small.
So a lot of cropping and bringing it in, and I ran it through AstroSharp. Yeah, that's kind of like I like to play with planetaries with that Maxitop. Haven't done it for a long time, but to see what it could do.
Cool.
That's all the recents I have.
Very nice. Anyone else?
Well, actually, well, I'm looking at one here. I'll send this because I redid it. This is that veil I did with the Takahashi, but I ran it through again in APP instead of Cyril, and then ran it through AstroSharp.
6, 3, 2, 7, 9.
Very nice.
Yes.
You can
Yeah,
see the
that
whale.
is really a nice, nice framing, really brings out all kinds of detail and color. Very nice picture.
That western broom, the western witch's broom there almost looks like the back of a creature going up and its head looking at you. I guess that's what, the triangle. It almost looks like eyes and a nose. Everybody I show that to thinks it's a ghostly figure in outer space. But yeah, the AstroSharp, and I'll go back and I'll pull the original, because it was, kind of blown up. I'll do two of them here. So, yeah, that one's really blown up. I think that was through Cyril. And then this one was the original that I did through Cyril also. I have a hard time getting Cyril toned down where it looks like that other picture. It seems like it's very touchy on the histogram stretch. It looks different on the site, and then when you save it and you go to open it somewhere else, it's just way overexposed. APP doesn't do that. I can make it look the same, save it. It looks the same wherever I put it. So that's,
how many millimeters is that?
this is a oh, you would ask me that. It's a 450. Yeah, the baby Q is a 450. 85.
And what's the size of the chip?
Oh, on this I'm sorry. This is couldn't tell you that. It's on a Canon 6D Mark II. I mean, as far as when it shows like 5.75 when I process, if that tells you anything.
So it's a full frame, Steve.
Oh, it's full frame. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I bought it. I got away from the crop sensors on the T3i and T4i. I went to the full frame with the 6D.
So it's full frame. It's 440 millimeters. And what's the diameter of the objective?
85. 85. Yeah. So I'll go back to the other ones. You've seen that. This one, I can say it's painful to look at almost, but then back to what APP did with it is just a night and day difference.
Lacking the contrast.
So, and how many photos was that stacked?
That was, I'm thinking 35. 35 at 3 minutes. I think it's 1600 ISO on that Canon. It does not like 5-minute exposures. If I do 5-minute exposures on that Canon, it's just a mess. It's too noisy.
And you're also using a filter with that system, right?
Yeah, this one I did use the L Extreme.
Oh, okay.
It really helps when you're pulling, you're doing the background extraction, versus just having the camera and the lens. It just helps remove that or makes a darker background to begin with. So I use it a lot. In town, I use that Triad Ultra. That's real narrow, and blocks the light out. I should try that this summer. When that, when it's up, earlier and straight up, and do another 35 frames with that Triad Ultra in town here with that Mortal 7 Sky, and we'll see if it, do everything the same, but just change the filter and see what we get. I'd be curious to see how that performs.
It's a great picture.
Well, thank you.
Any others?
I'll take this off.
Very nice.
I don't have anything else.
All
Very
right.
nice.
Thank you.
Now I can get back to. There we go. Okay. Let's see, next item. John Baker's not here, so treasurer's report might be difficult. Well, does anyone happen to know if the RDA grant has been deposited into our account yet?
How much was that?
$17,750.
That's good.
Right. Let me see.
So when's the,
What's RDA mean?
Regional Development Authority.
when's our special trip to, Mauna Kea to, talk to them about telescopes and stuff? $17,000, that could buy tickets for all of us here. Yeah.
Might have to shop some deals on, might have to shop around for deals, but. Yes, depends how much of that would we have to spend on heavy oxygen equipment.
Well, $17,000 is good though, and that'll put us over 50 again.
I'm not sure I'd do that much.
Will that help us fix the roll-off roof?
Well. Should cover the cost of a decent motor system.
You can buy 5 more winches and put it on. Multiply.
What about after we reinforce the western wall?
I don't think that's gonna be as tough as you think it is. Reinforcement.
That actually does bring us to the next item on the agenda. Any updates on the observatory, the new roll-off roof? I've been thinking that if I do want to bring this to the engineering professors at St. Ambrose, they should probably talk directly to you to get the full idea of what challenges there are with it. I'm not an engineer. I'm not sure I could adequately voice all the articulate all the difficulties that we're having with it.
This is Jim. We'd be willing to talk to them. We don't have too much tangible to report as far as progress goes, but
It's there.
It's there? Yeah, good.
So Rolando has been in contact with Scott with Backyard EOS, but he hasn't been able to get a hold of him recently. So that's still a possibility if we can get Scott to respond. The other thing that Mike Danefeld and myself have been trying to investigate other options. Since we haven't heard from Scott, so we're going to be kind of telling the board where we are with our investigation and get a little more direction of where we head. So hopefully we're going to be able to come up with something that'll move us forward with getting the roll-off motorized. I don't think it's going to happen real soon, but our goal is that at least have it done this year. So
If I email Ambrose professors and ask if they'd be amenable to talking with you and Mike, would that work? Could that be a start?
why don't, I think Mike and I will ask you to call a special board meeting and we can kind of talk about where that might fit into the other possibilities. So why don't you, I would suggest you just hold off on that for a few days and then we can get together and talk a little more about it.
We can arrange for the special board meeting over email.
Yes.
All right.
I know John Baker's traveling right now but he might be able to join us by email too.
Okay.
Where is John?
John attended a star party in Colorado and that star party just ended yesterday, and now he's taking the opportunity to do a little bit of hunting for rocks and minerals. He even talked about heading out towards Nevada. So he's taken advantage of his retirement.
Good for him. All right, let's see what's next. All right, well, is there any other business that we should discuss tonight's meeting? Well, I have something. The board has been discussing the possibility of having our general meetings at Menke the in-person version at Menke Observatory. As Jeff has informed us that the Riverdale Town Hall will not be available for the months of July, August, and September. And we had a recent board meeting with some of us out at the Menke Observatory to test out the Wi-Fi signal to see if we could still do Zoom if we meet out there, and it seems to work just fine. So how would the general membership feel about meeting in person at Menke Observatory next month?
So long as you have Wi-Fi, I have no problem with that.
We do have the Wi-Fi. We tested out. It works fine. And yeah, we figure if the weather holds out, then maybe some of us in person could, in case anyone in person wants to stick around and do some observing that night.
Heck yeah, that sounds good to me.
Is there a password on that Wi-Fi?
But if you're out there, yes. Yeah. But
No,
the password is written out on the whiteboard in the classroom.
Is it going to be the same phone number as we're using?
Same Zoom link, exact same Zoom link.
That's good.
Next question. So does the 30-inch telescope, does that have a cover, a shroud? You know what I'm saying?
There is a shroud, it's not on there yet.
I don't know if you guys are both talking about the same thing.
Yeah, a shroud.
Okay.
Anybody been using the one that came from Sherman?
The 20-inch?
Yeah, is that still locked up and nobody's used it?
That's in the dome.
Yeah.
No, the 12 inches in the dome, the 20 inches in the old roll-off building.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I use that. The only problem with that is that anything other than the southern sky, that scope is useless.
The trees or what's
Pointed up, and the eyepiece is up here.
Oh. Okay, yeah, it's
Yeah,
the ladder or whatever they do way up on top.
You can't. So
There is a ladder in there. but I don't,
I use the ladder, that's, you
I
can't,
mean,
you
the
can't,
20 inch in the roll
yeah, you can't reach over it. Now, there is a flip mirror, I've never used it, I don't even know how that works. Me personally, I think should invest in, rotating rings of some sort. I mean, you can actually make them pretty cheaply. And I've seen it on the internet, you can make rotating rings. I mean, actually, you're using like, hose clamps with tubing on it. And that way you can actually rotate the tube. But other than that, you can't use it other than the southern sky.
Is Steve
And
still
now,
with us?
But
And
then
if-
all the haze and the southern sky. It's really good.
Is Steve Van Hefty still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Okay,
there.
that flip mirror, I used it many a times in the past. Is that still usable?
Ever since John moved the telescope from observatory to observatory, I have not looked at that telescope at all. I just haven't had time, and I do work full time.
Yes. All I'm
But I
saying,
think that the status of the flip mirror system was that before it was moved, it seemed to be working correctly.
correct. But it was only good for photography on one side, but it was good visual on both sides. That's
I
how
guess
I.
that wasn't my experience. I thought it was pretty much well lined up.
Oh.
The trouble with the flip mirror system is that when you flipped it around, the snap of the paddle to the magnet would be even that would be enough to knock it, to take it out of alignment, just enough to, if you were picky about the alignment, to knock it off. And and it is what it is.
Correct.
So I don't know what else more to say about it.
Well. Moving on.
My comment is this, is that I don't understand why we have it's a very large telescope. It's kind of shoehorned in that building. It belongs in the other building. You put big scopes in big buildings, and you put little scopes in little buildings, and that's just my own general comment. I just don't understand that. But
It was musical telescopes and the 20-inch lost.
It lost. Okay. I mean, I understand that telescope has its problems, but.
Well, I mean, the original plan was to put it in the new roll-off building, but that building wasn't built yet when we moved the 20-inch over. Or when we cleared out of Sherman Park.
Well, if the flip mirror works, that's great. I haven't tried it yet, or I haven't had any luck with it yet.
Well, but I guess my comment would have been is if we knew we were going to be here, would be to put Cecil scope over in the where the 20 is now, and then he would be able to use it. But
Cecil's 30-inch.
Yeah, over in building, and then move the 20 and its pieces over to the other building because the roll-off doesn't work right now.
30-inch wouldn't fit in that roll-off.
Not in the old roll-off.
Correct.
No.
As you said, the 20-inch barely fits in there.
I agree that the 20-inch in the roll-off, the small roll-off, is kind of large. Functionality, yeah. Should we do something about it? Maybe that's something we should talk about later, if it's feasible.
I mean, it's a good scope for public.
Yeah, that's kind of what you're using it for all the time.
It's an excellent
public
scope.
use. It has a problem, or it really can't be used.
Well,
any further than
you
south.
mentioned, well, Cecil mentioned using rotator rings. Why not go to the rotator rings and eliminate that flip mirror?
Cost. Look into it, see what the cost is.
It's expensive, unless you do a do-it-yourself version that you get off the internet.
Again, somebody's gonna have to look into that.
You got $17,000, you can buy some rings.
The one thing I don't, does anybody know what the diameter of that tube is? Offhand?
No.
But it's at least
I think
20
it's 23 and a half.
I'd say, yeah, I was gonna guess 24.
I don't think there's enough clearance between the fork arms and I think where the pipe axis mounts comes out of the side of the tube for the declination axis.
Yeah,
There's almost no room
yeah.
because you'd have to have some type of a cradle that it's spinning around.
Well, back when it was at Sherman Park, you're just using the flip mirror. It didn't have any rotating rings there, did it?
Nope. Just the flip mirror.
If the flip mirror works, that'd be fine.
Test it out, see what happens. I'd say if we had it working good at one time, it should be. You can make it works good this time. For me, I did not see any major problems visually.
So let's check out the flip mirror first. If that's gone seriously wrong, then we'll discuss rotating rings.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Is there anything else? Going once. Going twice. All right. Our next board meeting is July 5th. Our next general meeting is at July 17th, and it sounds like everybody's on board with the in-person general meeting at Menke Observatory.
Either that or
The
Zoom.
Wi-Fi works, it should be okay.
Wi-Fi was working last time, so and Zoom link address exactly the same as before.
Excellent.
All right. Does anyone else have anything? I have nothing. No one else says anything. Nope. Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Cecil moves.
Second.
Rolando and Sam both second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Who cares? All right, good meeting, everyone.
You, bye.
All right,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Aye.
I'm actually pretty good friend with Tim Grace. Oh, yeah? Yeah, I didn't know that. Oh, did you? Yeah, yeah. Tim's a good guy. Good guy, yeah.